Hi y'all, welcome back. I'm Abby. Today we've got something fun. We're going to be doing some low back pain release. So I recommend for class today having some blocks and a strap. If you don't have blocks, I'm in the same boat. I only have one block. My other blocks are in the mail. But what I like to do is use some books, and you just stack some books up in a little line. It's like a block. So about 4 inches by maybe 12 inches, maybe a little bit less. Just have them nearby. Once you've got all those, we'll hop on into it. So we're gonna get started today in a child's pose. So you can start to make your way there. Taking your hands in front of you, toes together, knees out wide. Extend your hips back towards your heels as you melt your chest down toward the floor. When you arrive, just start to notice how your body is sitting in this space. Since we are focusing on the low back, we really want to bring some attention to drawing the sacrum down and back toward the heels. Maybe you start to massage out your third eye center, rocking your head side to side. If you want to find a little bit of movement here, you can start to shift your hips from side to side. Notice how that changes the sensations in your hips, your low back. At the start of practice today, we're just going to bring a little bit of focus, some concentration to our breathing. So as you inhale, notice the belly fill between your thighs. As you exhale, the navel, belly button draws in towards your spine. Continue to notice your breath here. Maybe you invite a little suspension of your breath at the end of your inhale and the end of your exhale. Thinking of this as a pause rather than a retention or a holding of your breath. Sometimes when I think of this hold, this retention of the breath, I get a little bit of chaotic energy in my mind, especially at the bottom of the exhale. It can almost feel as though I'm underwater in the breath in and following that hold. I'm gasping for air. But as I begin to think of this pause as a suspension of my breath, I can approach the following inhale with a sense of ease, gently inviting it in. Take about 2 more belly breaths here. Before we start to make our way up to hands and knees in a tabletop position. So you can stack your hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath your hip points. We're going to start to find a few rounds of cat-cow. So as you inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze, and exhale around through your spine for your cat pose. Continue here with your own breath. Maybe you start to find a little bit of intuitive movement, circling out through the hips, moving in one direction, and then in the opposite direction. With anything that you're doing, just make sure you do it on both sides. So if you're giving a little extra love to that left side, make sure you give that equal amount of love to the right. We'll take about 2 more breaths here, just noticing the little subtleties in your body. And at the end of your second breath, we're going to start to crawl our way into a puppy pose. So you'll walk the hands forward as the chest melts down, hips stack on top of your knees. If this is too much here, you can invite a block underneath your forehead. If you want to add on, you can press into the fingertips, lifting your elbows off the floor. The shoulders roll up to the sky. This is a really great chest opener, heart opener. Again, notice the breath as it fills the belly. One more deep breath in here. And as we exhale, we'll take Sphinx pose. You're gonna roll your belly onto the ground. The elbows are directly beneath your shoulders. Grip into your fingertips as your shoulders and elbows drop back towards your heels. You can allow your gaze to be soft here towards your nose or the top of your mat. If you want to invite a couple of neck rolls here, moving your neck in one direction and the other, feel free. Notice that your pelvis is pressing into the ground. Glutes are engaged. Maybe your kneecaps even hover up off of the floor as the tops of your feet press into the ground. Hi, Oats. We'll take about one more deep breath in here. And as you exhale, we're going to crawl the fingertips a little bit higher up toward the top of your mat. We're going to do a couple of rolls. So we'll press into the fingertips, lift your chest. Almost imagine that there's a little string attached to your breastbone, lifting you up to the sky. We'll take a deep breath in. Exhale, roll it down. Inhale, press into the fingertips, lift your chest. Exhale to roll down. Again, inhale, press and lift. Glutes are engaged, protecting that low back. And exhale, roll it down. This next one will press into the fingertips, lift. Option to stay here, option to drop your left shoulder down toward the floor, gazing over your right shoulder. Deep breath in. Exhale over to the other side, right shoulder drops. One more deep breath in, lift. Exhale over to the left. Inhale, lift to rise. Exhale over to the right. The next breath in, we'll come all the way back up. Plant the hands underneath your shoulders. This time we're going to take the hands into a T shape. So the right arm is coming directly outside of the right shoulder. We're going to plant the left fingertips to the floor as we come into a little bit of a twist and heart opener. So you're going to bend the left knee, take your left foot behind your right leg as your right temple rests on the floor. Maybe you crawl your foot a little bit closer. I notice that this relieves a little bit of the tension on my low back. One more deep breath in and a full breath out. The next breath in, we'll make our way back through center. We're going to take this on the opposite side. So this time the left hand extends. Wrist is in line with the left shoulder. We're going to plant the right fingertips. When you're ready, roll over that left side. So that right knee will bend and come behind your left leg. Notice this deep opening through your left shoulder. One more deep breath in. Full breath out. Inhale back through center. We'll release this. Plant the hands, tuck the toes. We'll make our way to downward facing dog. In your down dog, maybe you pedal out through the feet, bending one knee and then the other. Notice that lengthening through the backs of your legs and your calves. Maybe you shake your head yes and no, release through your neck. Notice the shoulders rolling down your back, armpits rolling in towards your ears. Tailbone lengthening up toward the sky. Maybe there's a deep bend in the knees to remove any rounding in your low back. Sometimes here we can find a little bit of kyphosis where we're really rounded. Kyphosis is where you have those rounded shoulders, rounded low back. So bringing a bend can kind of help to tip the tailbone up and remove that rounded shape. We're here for one more deep breath in and a breath out. The next breath in, gaze forward, and it's a slow crawl all the way to a forward fold at the top of your mat. Allow your upper body to hang heavy. Maybe you interlace wrists and opposite elbow creases, swaying side to side. You can bring a deep bend into the knees here as the crown of your head hangs heavy. Notice the weight spilling into the ball mounds of your feet as your sit bones crawl up to the sky, chest rounds down. One more deep breath in here. Exhale, release your arms down to the floor. The next breath in is a slow roll all the way up to stand, stacking one vertebrae at a time. The chin will lift last. When you arrive, arms can just rest gently by your sides. No need to invite any effort into the hands. Shoulders roll down your back. Notice your tailbone and sacrum drawing down toward the floor. Chin tucking just slightly in towards your chest so that the top of your vertebrae is lifted up toward the sky. On the next breath in, we'll take Urdhva Hastasana, reach the arms high up overhead. Notice your heart reaching up to the sky, the opening of your rib cage here, shoulders rolling down your back. Deep breath in. As you exhale, hands come to the low back. We're going to take a little bit of a back bend, so you can have your fingertips maybe facing down or up. As we press into the low back, press your hips forward. And again here, maybe you keep the chin in towards your chest, maybe the neck drops down. And just notice that you're breathing into your belly. Driving down through the feet, we've got one more deep breath in. That exhale draws you back up through center. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, reach tall. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfways lift to lengthen. Exhale, plant the hands. We'll step the feet back into your plank pose where you have the option to lower high to low. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Again, here you can go ahead and shake your head side to side. When you arrive, on our next breath in, we'll reach the right leg high. And exhale, lizard lunge. Step your right foot to the outside of your right pinky. Maybe you crawl the back foot back just to touch. You can stay lifted in the back knee or drop it on down. Untuck the toes. You can stay lifted on hands. Maybe you drop down to forearms. You have options here, so you can start to engage that right thigh, drawing it in towards your right arm. Or maybe you come onto the knife edge of your right foot, opening up through your right hip crease. Wherever you are, just notice the breath. Notice that deep release through your right hip crease. We'll take one more deep breath in here. And as you exhale, either stay or reach for a quad stretch. So we'll bend that left knee. Maybe you reach for the top of your left foot with your right hand. You can pull the leg in, or maybe you kick the foot into your hand to find a deeper opening through your chest. One deep breath. Full breath out. The next breath in, we'll plant the hands, tuck the back toes, Malasana, yogi squat at the top of your mat. So that left foot steps to the outside of your left pinky as your hips shift low. Here, if you'd like, you can take a block underneath your seat, giving yourself a little bit of support. Try to ground down through your heels, sealing down through the outer edges of your feet. Pressing the hands to one another. The elbows press into the inner thighs draw in. Notice your sit bones reaching down as your heart lifts up to the sky. We'll take one more deep breath in here. And exhale, forward fold. Melt your chest down, extend through the legs. Point your toes forward. You can keep the distance as it is. We're going to take a bend into the left knee. Plant your left hand, reach your right arm high. Notice that deep stretch through your right hamstring. Right shoulder blade peeling up and back. Deep breath in. Exhale, release. We'll plant the hands. You can step your feet back. Maybe you move through a vinyasa, lowering high to low. Inhale, up dog or cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. On the next breath in, lift your left leg high. And exhale, lizard lunge. Step your foot to the top left corner of your mat. You can wiggle your back toes back a touch as we lower the back knee. Maybe you stay lifted on hands, or maybe you drop it down to your forearms. Again, options here. You can try to seal that inner left thigh in towards your left side, or maybe you come on to the outer edge of your left foot, opening through your hip. Breathing into the belly. You can stay here, or on your next breath out, press into the hands to lift. We're gonna maybe take that quad stretch if that's in your practice today. Bending through the right knee, reach your left hand for the top of your right foot. Again, you can pull the foot in, bending at the elbow, or press your foot into your hand to find that deep opening through your chest. One more full breath in. Stay for the breath out. The next breath in, we'll release, plant the hands, yogi squat. Tuck your back toes, step your right foot to the outside of your right pinky. Again, here, maybe you step the feet out a little bit wider to ground down through your heels. Seal down through the outer edge of your feet. Notice that sealing down through that outer edge engages those abductor muscles, those outer hip muscles, to press your knees out to the sides. So the legs are engaged, upper body is engaged as you press the elbows into the thighs. Find that lift of your chest, maybe that slight tuck of your chin in towards your chest, bowing down. One deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold, melt your chest down. Point the toes forward. We're gonna bend through the right knee, plant the right hand, lift your left arm high. Here you can have a block underneath your right hand if that's supportive. Just noticing that stretch through your right hip crease, the back of your left leg. Deep breath in. Exhale, release, hands plant. We'll step the feet back. Maybe you move through a vinyasa or straight into your downward facing dog. From down dog, we're gonna bend the knees, drop onto our seat. We're gonna do a little bit of core work. And I know, you may be thinking, why are we doing core work if we're getting a low back release? Well, here's the dealio. One of my yoga instructors who I really admire, Marcy Tropin, wrote a book called Yin Yoga Masterclass. And in her book, she describes low back pain and its correlation to the core. And what she had said is that the manifestation of our emotions tends to get stored in our bellies. Our emotional tension is stored in the belly. That's why when you feel anxious, you get that butterfly sensation, or when something happens that you don't like, you feel it in your gut. It's that gut instinct. So all the emotions trap themselves in the gut. And then a lot of times when we don't reconcile with those emotions, they will manifest in the form of low back pain. And when that happens, we tend to say, what's going on? I don't like this. And so a lot of times what we can do to kind of fix that situation is get into the core. So the core work is for to kind of break some stuff up, build that tension before we use our back bends to release and open up through that power center, our Manipura chakra. So when we get to our seat, we're gonna come into a boat pose. So maybe for you, that looks like toes to the floor, maybe shins parallel, maybe there's a full V shape here with the arms extended. Just notice here that your chest is lifted. So if you come into this full extended shape and you're rounded, we're not fully engaging the core. We want to pull up, noticing that we have that nice proud chest, great posture. It's really interesting to think about, like when I teach a class, I can tell a lot about a person by the way they hold themselves in a posture, because the way that you present yourself in a pose is the way that you present yourself in your other aspects of life. And if you're rounded, it says a lot. Maybe you work at a desk. Maybe you spend a lot of time hunching over. If you've got that proud chest, it speaks confidence. It speaks alignment. I know we're still here. I'm just trying to talk your ear off to make you forget that we're doing this. On your next breath, we're going to cross the ankles. You can stay. Maybe you plant the hands, press into them as you lift your seat off the ground. One breath in. Exhale, release. We'll come again into that boat pose. Any variation. If you notice you want a little support, you can also take your hands to the backs of your thighs. That'll help to draw your shoulders together. It helps me to envision that there's a pencil between my shoulder blades I'm trying to pinch. And again, you can find something to keep yourself with this practice. Maybe it's the breath. Maybe it's the gaze up towards your toes. Maybe it's just finding this full sense of being, examining the sensations as they run from your toes all the way up your legs, finding this perfect V shape. One more deep breath in. Exhale, cross at the ankles, plant the hands, we'll lift. This is our last round. I'm not going to torture you. So we're going to lift the legs up. Maybe this can be your best variation, whatever best means to you. Maybe that means that you're listening to your body. You're taking your toes down. Just be present with whatever you're doing. Knowing that this practice of yoga is not about what it looks like. The word asana, a lot of times, which is the physical practice of yoga, people see as being movement, when in reality, asana is sitting with. We take these physical postures and we sit with them. We realize what they feel like in our body. We train our mind to be in the discomfort or be in the pleasure of whatever we're experiencing. It's not just about the fancy shapes. It's about the inner mind control of how you're choosing to experience the sensations in your body. We'll take one more deep breath in. Exhale, cross the ankles, plant the hands, we'll lift, and then we'll lower down, getting ready for our back bending. So for back bending, options. Option one, we can take a restorative back bend. So maybe that means a block comes directly to your sacrum, your low back. If you're here, just notice that you're really breathing into the belly. Finding that power center, breath very intentionally moving to that space. If you want a more active variation, we can come into an active bridge pose, the heels crawling a little bit closer inward as the fingertips graze your heels, lifting your seat up toward the sky. Here you can roll the shoulders down your back, maybe you interlace your hands. If you want to go a little bit further, we can take a full wheel pose, taking the hands to frame your ears, fingertips towards your shoulders. We'll press into the hands to lift your chest up. If you're taking an active variation, just notice that your inner thighs are drawing in toward one another. Glutes are engaged to protect the low back. Breathe into your power center. Releasing the tension in the belly that we've just built. This will help to release the tension in the low back. 3 more breaths. At the end of your breath, we'll slowly roll it on down. Maybe you hug the knees in towards your chest, give yourself a big squeeze. Perhaps you make some circles of your sacrum, your low back in one direction and then the other. And when you feel ready, we're going to extend the right leg long, the left leg long. Keep your right knee in towards your chest. Give yourself a big squeeze here. You can stay, or what I like to do is grab a strap. You can also grab a towel or a shirt or whatever you've got. Wrap it around the bottom of your foot as you extend your leg up to the sky. So crawl your hands up that strap as high as is comfortable for you. Just starting to release through the back of the leg. Notice your right hip drawing down so that it's in line with the left. And see if you can keep your shoulders rooted down to the floor here. A lot of times I want to pull my chest up really round through my upper back. But here we're just going to relax a little bit. Have the whole spine flat with the floor. Notice that deep stretch in your calf muscle from the top of your kneecap all the way down through your heel and through your hamstring, from the bottom of your kneecap all the way up through your sit bone. We'll take about one more deep breath in here. And as we exhale, I'm going to encourage you to grab a block or your books to the right side of your right hip, planting it right on that hip on the lowest setting before we open up the leg out toward the right side. In this position, again, we're not pushing, we're not forcing anything. We're just here. If you'd like to give yourself a little self-assist, we can plant the left hand to the top of the left thigh. Shoulders again rooted down to the floor. We'll take one more deep breath in here. As you exhale, bring your leg all the way up. Next breath in, we'll take it all the way over toward the left side for a twist. Maybe you take your foot onto a block. Maybe the right arm comes into a T shape or a cactus shape. Just steady your breath. Notice this release through your lumbar spine. One more deep breath in. Exhale, draw the leg all the way back up. We're going to release the strap and we're going to take a figure 4 shape. So a couple options here. Option 1 is to bend the left knee, take your right ankle to the top of your left thigh. You can stay here. Or option 2, we're going to grab onto that leg, extend the left leg long, and you can hold onto your right shin. You can stay here, or if you want to go a little bit further, we'll take that left elbow pit, hold on to your right ankle with the elbow pit. You can stay, or we take that right arm up overhead, bending the elbow behind your head as you reach your right fingertips for your right toe. Steady your breath. Notice that deep release through your right hip. One more deep breath in. And we'll exhale to release it. Lower your leg back down. Just notice how your body feels, the subtle differences in sides. When you feel ready, we'll do the same thing on the other side. So the left knee will hug in. Big squeeze. You can stay, or maybe you grab your strap, taking it to the bottom of your foot as you extend your leg up toward the sky. Again, crawling your hands as far up that strap as is comfortable for you. Noticing that deep stretch through the back of your leg. Again, running your calf from the top of your kneecap down to your heel. And from the bottom of your kneecap up towards your sit bone, stretching through the hamstring. Soften your breath. At this point, we're going to locate that block. And again, you can take the block to your left hip, just outside the left hip. The strap is going to transfer into the left hand as we open up that leg over to the left. So nice little hip opener here. The right hand can plant to the inside of your right thigh, kind of energetically guiding your right hip down. Shoulders are planted. Low back is pressing into the floor. One more deep breath in. Exhale, leg all the way up through center, and we're going to take it all the way over for our twist. So it'll come over toward the right side. That left arm can come out towards your side. Maybe there's a cactus bend in your elbow, gazing either to the sky or toward your left fingertips. One more deep breath in. The exhale draws your leg all the way up. We're going to release that strap and come into our figure four. So again, you can bend that right knee, taking your left ankle to the top of your right thigh. If you want to go a little bit further, you can extend the right leg long, holding on to your left leg. From here, want to go deeper, we can take the right elbow crease to hook on to your left ankle, staying, or lifting the left arm back behind you, bending at the elbow to reach for your left toe. Steady your breath. One more deep breath in. And we'll exhale to release this. We'll hug both knees into the chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. Maybe massage out through your low back. And at this point, we're going to grab our blocks so that we can set up for our final pose of class before Shavasana. So I recommend 3 blocks. The first block we're going to take beneath our shoulders. This is going to be a heart opener, similar to a fish pose. So we can stay here, or maybe you take the block kind of vertical so that it rests between your shoulder blades. These other 2 blocks, my little bookies, are going to be on the sides because we're going to be coming into a Supta Baddha Konasana, a supine butterfly pose with a fish expansion through the chest. So align your blocks or books so that they're going to rest beneath your knees. These are going to be super supportive because a lot of times for me, when I go into this supine butterfly pose, I find that my knee joint begins to hurt, and we don't want to hurt in yoga. So we're going to align our back so that your shoulders are resting just above the block. The feet together, knees out wide, resting on blocks or books, maybe even pillows. And your arms can rest wherever's comfortable, maybe by your sides, maybe on your hips. One hand to heart, one hand to belly. If you really want a full expansion, you can take the arms up overhead. Whatever variation feels like it's calling to you today, just go for it. Feel into your body. And just as you begin to settle here, notice the sensations in your body. How are you feeling here? Are you feeling resistance? Are you feeling tension or strain? And if you are, come a little bit out of it. We're not in this shape to feel pain. It's not about an end result, an end goal of what it's supposed to look like. This whole practice of yoga is an informed practice, trying to understand your own body, mind, and spirit connection. So the more we can train ourselves to listen to those sensations and respond to them in a way that is caring, the more we'll come to this space of understanding. Start to soften your breath. Again, breathing into that belly center. You're welcome to stay in this shape for as long as you'd like. But if you want to move into your Shavasana, we can remove the blocks and allow your body to slowly start to melt into the mat. So with that, we'll extend the legs out to the sides, removing any props. Arms resting by your sides. Just beginning to feel the difference in the sensations of your body from now in comparison to the beginning of this class. Notice the shoulders roll down your back, the tailbone tucking under so that your sacrum is flat with the floor. Toes just falling off to the sides. Allowing your body just a few moments of rest here in this shape. A lot of times Shavasana can be said to be one of the hardest poses, which is really funny when you come to think of it, because there are a lot of difficult poses in yoga. But when we're kind of forced to be still, and our mind drifts off to these subtle places, subtle emotions that begin to come to the surface. It can be very difficult to just sit with that, especially if we're used to staying busy, finding distraction, or avoiding the feelings inside. Which again, as we've discussed today, a lot of those emotions that we store in our belly, those unexpressed, undealt with, will result in our own pain. The more we begin to confront those issues, the better we'll feel in our bodies and in our minds, in our relationships with ourselves and with others. We'll take a few more deep breaths here. When you're ready, we'll start to wiggle through the fingers, toes. Maybe you knock your head from side to side. Maybe you reach for a full body stretch, extending the arms up overhead as you point through the toes. And when you're ready, we'll rock our weight onto the right side. Just lying here gently with your heart, finding a sense of groundedness within yourself and in the space around you. And when you're ready, we'll start to press our way up into a tall seat. Maybe you rest on a block, maybe cross-legged or on your knees. Wherever you are, we'll just roll the shoulders down, stack the spine tall. We're going to end class today how I always like to, with 2 breaths and the sound of Om. So we'll inhale, circle sweep, reach your arms high, gaze past your fingers. And exhale, hands through heart. Again, deep breath in, reach tall, scoop up all that goodness around you. And exhale it into your heart. We'll take a deep breath in for the sound of Om. Om. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. It means a lot. I always love flowing with you guys. I know I missed last week's class. Life's been chaos, but it's been really great, and I'm so happy to be back with you practicing this week. I hope you enjoyed this flow, and I hope to see you next time. Namaste. Bye, all.